Hello everyone and welcome to another session of the sector drill down. Tonight is Sunday, October 17th, and I wanted to go ahead and try to get this out this evening so people could review it a little more before markets open tomorrow. This week when I was looking at it, I asked if there was anybody that had some suggestions. Got a few: consumer discretionary, industrials, and technology. And all three of them are kind of sitting in different spots. Industrials being the strongest RS right now. Consumer discretionary is being the weakest, albeit seeing its major ETF starting to break out, and then technology kind of sitting right in the middle. Now, based on where we are in the overall markets and kind of a feel of what I saw this week, the technology market kind of won out, and not as much because it's kind of everybody's favorite, but also really just because of its recent leadership and the strong leadership it's had for a while. And during this correction, so many have been saying that it's time, it's been leader for too long or gone too high. And anytime I hear things like that, it kind of gets me thinking maybe we should make it prove it doesn't want that leadership anymore, because oftentimes strength begets strength. So as the markets look like they may be improving some, breadth improving some underneath the hood, now we're going to start to look at kind of where we're at from a sector standpoint. Now this week we're going to concentrate on information technology. That is what I chose. As you can see here, it's sitting right in the middle at a 55 after being at a 91 just 1 month ago. And then also when you take a look here and you sort this by the weekly returns, you see information technology comes in at the number 2 position for the week, as well as moving the most relative strength points. Even though it's only at a 55, it moved 19 points, almost hitting our green zone at the 20, where that kind of kicks in. Now, also looking at it from a stance of the equal weight subsectors, we can take a look and try to find where the information technology sectors are. The easiest way to do that is sort this by sector and then hit the shift button and sort it by RS as well. So now we can see the information technology starts here, and we have IT services at 61, software at 57, information semiconductors at 33, and hardware at 24. Now you can see that the two top ones, IT services and software, both had really strong a month ago and a quarter ago, and it kind of come off into the middle as they've kind of slowed down, corrected a little bit, maybe digested the big moves prior to. You also have semiconductors, which have been kind of back and forth, but we're at a 98, the strongest just 1 month ago, and then dropped all the way down into the orange zone in the 30s. Not good at all for them, but again, a sharp move higher, a failed breakout might be what we saw there, and then it kind of pulled back hard. Now it's trying to see if it can find footing. And then finally, the hardware and equipment has been kind of the stinker of the group for quite a while, and doesn't really look like that's changing much. Now, as we'll see, you can still find stuff in there, but it's not really our biggest focus. What we're going to do is we're going to start in the overall sector, information technology, and look at the equal weight chart. In the equal weight RSI chart right here to the left, you can see that here on this chart, the relative strength was strong for a good while, just here where it tried to break out in the late August area. It just basically was right up there at the highs of relative strength, and it's fallen off as it kind of corrected here lately. Nice zigzag correction, came down, RSI barely pierced 40, but now it's trying to make its way back over. And when we zoom out a little bit, you can see this peak back in the February or mid-February to now is kind of what we're challenging at this point. Now when we move down to the breadth, we can see all this is slowly improving, with the percent above the 20-day moving average at 68%, the 50-day at 52%, and the 54% on the 200-day. It slightly crossed below that 50% range, but now is popping back higher. And on this one, I'm going to zoom in here on the advanced decline line, and as you can see, it's right up near those highs, just like price is. Whereas the advanced decline line in the overall universe is still lagging a bit more than that. And then our summation index never really made a big low here. In fact, the low in the summation index was back here in May, which I'll show you, as with many of these indicators, that's where the low was on the shorter term versions, and we've been diverging ever since. So we'll look at that closer when we get kind of the subsectors, or actually down here on this bottom chart, and percent making new highs. Now on the relative comparative, You can see again it's been sideways for a good while versus most of the comparatives that we do. Russell 2000, it picked up some strength, but if we zoom in here a little bit again, you can see recently versus small caps is starting to turn up in the universe, and then these higher lows here versus the SPY and the others since back in August or something to be noted. 3 higher lows as we go, and as you see here, we were talking about the low being back in May. You can see here the cluster of new lows was an area that made a lot of people feel like this was going to be the breakdown area. Markets caught themselves, came back up, and we've been adjusting for a couple months since, now starting to move higher again. And as you can see, we're getting another spike over here on the percent making new 10-day highs. All good signs, albeit early. So we want to see this continue to improve and this breakout to work its way through. Now in the information technology subsectors, when we weed them out to get a cleaner look at where they sit, IT services is on top, software is next. That surprises a lot of people, but as we get into looking at the subsectors themselves, you'll see it's not really that big of a surprise. And then over here you can always go down if you don't want to worry about subsectors and just sort by different areas here, kind of see what kind of performance you've seen over the entire technology. I'm sorry, this is the ETF scenario, and this is actually where we get many of the ETFs we're looking for and rank them, all the technology ETFs, against each other. Down here at the bottom is where, if you're done digging in as far as subsector or anything like that, you don't need to go that far. You can look here at these particular rankings and then just start working your way across this chart and seeing if you can find some gems for yourself. But in the ETF world, this is kind of what we would look for and try to see where the rankings are going. As you can see, VCLO is number 1. Interestingly, this is one that can have almost 20% in options, whereas that's going to make it more volatile. It's certainly been paying off here in recent weeks. And then we can move our way on down these sectors rankings and rank it by whichever of these columns we want to look at them closely. Now, as I said, you can go down here and do the stocks. What we're going to do on this level is we're going to go on over to the trading view, where I have already marked out some of the charts based on different looks that I like, and we're going to go through them real quick. First is KARS. This one looks like it's a breakout potential. RSI moving into a new bull range, really never losing the old bull range even during this pullback, and the weekly looking strong here as it moves higher. IPAY, one that's a little more internal, looks like it wanted to break down and didn't, now trying to move back to test those highs. FINX is the fintech, and again it pulled off, had a nice pullback here, and over the last week and a half has really surged back towards those highs. And if we look at the weekly, we can see it's in a bull range here and looks like it wants to move back above 60. Daily needs to get above 62 here, so look for in case there's a rejection. LEGR, another transaction type and processing, really tied up here at the top, never really pulled that back that much on the weekly. Have a nice RSI positive reversal here on the weekly as the daily RSI moves into a new bull range as we go to highs. Again, not overbought, this time just now moving into the bull range. KOIN up towards the highs, again looking for potential breakout. IDRV also right there at the highs, making new RSI bull range on the daily and the weekly. Never really lost a lot, making some positive reversals as we go by. VCLO, very volatile, but you could potentially get some good juice out of the options there if they're right. MOTO, again, consolidating up here on the weekly near the highs, never really lost a lot, and the daily looks like it wants to move into a new bull range. DRIV, another ETF in that space. QTUM, working right back up towards the highs, looks almost like a back test here at this big volume at price bar, and nice reversal pattern here over the last 3 weeks. AIQ, SKY is right up at the highs and a nice weekly cup and handle type look. THNQ, similar but not quite as developed. And then you have software. IGV is right up there near those highs as well. FXL, another ETF right near the highs. There's so many in the technology sector that are right near the highs at this point. XSW, and these are not just cap weighted. A lot of these are equal weighted sector ETF. So that means a lot when they start making their way up, holding hard or strong bull ranges, and the daily heading back above the 60 on RSI, on XSW. IGN right near the highs, again consolidating a little bit lower in a tough Friday, but again over 74. This one could definitely get moving. BLOK, another one we're looking at that's a kind of an internal breakout. BLCN, LOUP, ITEQ. All these are internal breakout looking plays, and some pullbacks that are reversing. SMH, nice little small week and a half or so base. RYT similar. IGM similar but a little bit more progressed. XT, another one that pulled back decently and is now trying to reverse. Noticing all these weeklies are holding pretty strong. And PSI, the semiconductors, as we mentioned, had a good run. They pulled back strong, and now they're trying to get their own footing. Okay, so that gives us some ETFs to look at again here on the list. And then we move over to the first sector. We're going to go strongest to weakest. And as I said, we're going to start with IT services. And if we look at the RSI chart, you can see here that it really is one of the strongest charts here as we go in. On the blog version of this, I put all four of the RSI charts next to each other so you can look at them. But as you can see here, it's just a nice little pullback, not real deep at all on the equal weight IT service, and now it's moving to highs. This has things like a firm. It also has the security sector, as well as some of the Bitcoin mining and things of that sort from a services standpoint. Again, if you zoom this one out, you notice it's just been continuing to make higher highs and higher lows the whole time, even if it is kind of a lot of sideways in the middle. We pull on down here to the breadth. It's the strongest of them as well, 61, 66, and 81% above the 20-day moving average. Advanced decline line here moving to new highs already, again leading sector, and the summation index never really made it near zero here on this particular move, and it's turning up as well. Again, a lot of strength showing in this chart. It's turned up on all of the relative comparatives here, especially as we make this last little surge over the last week, and the new highs are starting to jump up here at 46 on the 10-day new highs, 46%, 26% on the 21, and 14%, which isn't big, but is growing, bigger than we've seen in more than a month. Okay, again, now in IT services, we can go through. You can sort and rank this however you want. I've already pulled out some in IT services that I want to take a quick look at, and we will run through those charts as quickly as I can. GSKY is one that jumped out to me. Yes, it's made a big move. I haven't looked in to see if there's a buyout or anything on the horizon. However, if it moves over these highs at 12, if there's not, big volume area, it could move fast. ACN, also up at a breakout type level. RSI moving into a new bull range type thing after testing the 40, and the weekly just only coming down to the 60, very strong. MDB also moving back up above 60 on the daily. The weekly never really showing a lot of damage as it back tested. GIB, a lot sloppier of a chart, smaller of a company, 22 billion, not that smaller. Decent volume as you come at, and RSI tries to move over 60. The weekly pulled back, but it really is just testing this previous cup breakout. It looks like IBM with an internal type looking breakout. Looks like it could move its way up to test these highs, potentially if it holds and gets over about 145. MA is more like a pullback that looks like it based a little bit and wants to get over about 163.64. Infi really like the pullback look here as it tried to fail down here, got bought right back up, and now is above this recent area. The weekly never really did a lot of damage and put in a big RSI positive reversal. G is basically trying to move into a new RSI bull range with a big weekly positive reversal here and a nice weekly candle. Now this right here could mean it takes a little bit to digest, but as long as it doesn't move back below probably 48, 50-ish, it's something you could pay attention to, keep an eye on. Square is also one that's right here looking like it wants to end its pullback. Coming in, it's not in a bull range in the daily yet, but the weekly is still, there's definitely some risk here under the 230 area, but if it gets back above this 45 EMA, I think it certainly could continue. VRSN, Again, a little bit early, but it tried to break down here and a failed breakdown is now popping back up. The weekly never lost the bull range. And then SWCH also just a little pullback type for the last month. RSI came right down to 40 and turned up, holding the bull range, and the weekly has still got a strong pull range in its. We have a basing action, almost an inverse head and shoulders in the SABR chart. Again, the daily went up and put into a new bull range after a long bear range. Came back, tested, and now is working its way back higher. The weekly has some work to do, but this daily says if we get over this inverse head and shoulders, you might want to hop quick. 4, FOUR, big pullback, but had a big weekly reversal potential. You want to make sure it holds right here at 40, and you see some confirmation move. FISV, another pullback scenario, failed breakdown, looking like it wants to come back above this 111.50 area. Might be worth taking a look at. Maybe a run-up play into earnings, but be careful going through that. As always, SHOP also looks like it has a failed breakdown look, wants to pop back above it after shaking quite a few people out. Same thing with PayPal. Came right down to the 45 EMA. RSI held the bull range. We just need to see some action above this volume area right here. That's all for IT services. Now let's move to the next one, which is software. And if we take the software from the start, sorry about that. Basically, we want to take a look at the top and start with the RSI chart. You can see it had a lot of RS strength through all of this. However, its RSI chart bounced around a good bit, tried to come back down below 40, and now is stalled. One day, of course, at 60. We got to get over this to see if we can keep this thing moving. Now, again, you zoom out a little bit, you can see back in February, this is right about where the highs are. Cup and handle, nice looking formed here. So if we can pop over this, could be the start of something good. The breadth is also improving here, similar to IT services, just not quite as strong, but we are seeing things like the advanced decline moving up into what looks like almost, fresh new highs there on the software sector. Summation improving a good bit. And again, back in May is really when it looks like a lot of the technology stuff had bottomed out, not recently. This last thing was more looks like the handle than it does the bottoming action that we saw last spring. Now again, on the relative comparative, you can see this has just continued to move its way back up off those May lows across almost every spectrum, with a little pause over the last month, but nothing that looks that dangerous. We did have some new low clusters here that got people a little shaken up, but we're starting to see it kind of pop back higher. Again, a progression we like to see. Getting into the stocks, sort of however you want it, come to power-investing.com, and then go through the different links at the top of the menu to whatever sector or subsector you want to. Sort these however you want. I've taken the liberty to take some and mark some out in IT services. I'm sorry, we need to be in software. So let me move there real quick. I've got some of these things saved already. And let's symbol them. This is probably going to have a lot because it's a big sector. Big move, but it's something I want to keep my eye on. SBNS. A lot of software is going to look this way. Now, NOW looks like it's coming back up for the potential breakout attempt. Weekly looks really nice on this flagging action. RSI moving, held 40, wants to move into above 60 into a new bull range. MANH is a one that's another one that's good looking sideways type move while a lot of things were pulling back near the highs here pretty quickly. TEAM, another breakout look. RSI never lost the daily bull range, weekly stayed high and is putting in a positive reversal. Microsoft's back up towards the breakout, really looks nice on the daily and weekly RSIs. FTNT, again, nice sideways pattern for a few months. Now it's starting after the last earnings, going to the next earnings. We could have a breakout pre or around them. Weekly came in, put it in a big positive reversal on this pullback. Daily RSI held at 40, wants to move back higher. Volume footprint still pretty solid. Some selling in there definitely, but solid overall. VRNS, again, pullback type play, workday, up towards the highs. Looks like it's a kind of sloppy cup and handle type breakout play. GWRE, internal breakout or kind of here on the weekly, could head up to the highs and test them. ASAN, Again, right near the breakout SPSC breakout look. Some of these have earnings pretty soon in the software area, so make sure you're keeping account for that. I do not have that marked in here every time other than it shows on these charts. The weekly RSI stayed really strong on this little sideways move after the huge run. Also strong there, so you might not want to ride this through earnings after such a strong move. The ZS right up towards the breakout area. MGIC broke out recently, but again, really great footprint and not really expensive or not really high priced company. Could move for a while. ESTC right breaking out as we speak. This weekly looks like a really nice cup and handle. RSI looks really pretty as it's set up. CRWD right up near the highs. DSGX near the highs. RPD near the highs. All breakout potentials. BILL. Similar, nice breakout potential. It tried and failed a little bit, but it's not failing hard here. You're having a lot of indecision in the candles. PCTY is one that looks like it's back up near that breakout type thing. Now, as far as internal looking breakouts, we've got VMware that's sideways to try to move up. ZUO broke out recently at this lower range, but it has a lot of room to get back up towards the highs. ENV is just below the highs, broke out last week and has moved, but again, we want to kind of watch it in this 85, 87 area. If it can pop over that, it could continue to move. Splunk is in an area to ride an internal breakout, strong move this week. You might want to see if it digests a bit and then tries to keep going. U is Unity Software, also daily is a lot nicer and looks like it wants to held the 40, wants to head back over 60. Weekly RSI positive reversal. BL is kind of this internal weekly breakout.
Everybody knows that he's completed 2 full marathons, not anytime.
Sorry about that. Internal weekly breakout, working its way up. A10, ATEN, again, it's kind of a pullback play. It looks like it wants to reverse. Weekly RSI held really well, so did the daily. WK is in a similar. Daily held above 40, weekly held above 60. TTD is a nice look. Same thing, RSI moving into a new bull range here after kind of holding a pullback, a decent sized pullback here, but it's moving back above it pretty quick. Weekly doesn't look like it was too damaged, but we do want to see the weekly get back above 60 on this move. INTU, reversal type look. LSPD, same thing. Weekly RSI held better than the daily, but this is a high mover, so it's got some volatility to it. SMAR coming back above, and the weekly RSI holding up. Nice weekly bull engulfing. Daily has a little work to do. SMPS, nice reversal look there. Daily has some work to do. Weekly looks strong. Adobe, similar view. Daily trying to work its way over 60 quickly. If it can pop back over it. Weekly pattern there on Adobe is a really nice Morningstar pattern there. MIME, another one to look at. STR, again, kind of an internal breakout look. And then Zen is a reversal type play. Looks like it wanted to break down. It chopped around and now wants to move back over this big volume area around 125, 126. So next we move to semiconductors. It is the third out of the 4. Again, I apologize for where I left these, so let's move back to the top and start with our RSI charts. As you can see, this one came off hard on the relative strength as it came off hard after making new highs, trying to hold them for a week and then failing on that breakout look. Again, a zoom out, it really broke out of this lower level but never could get over these previous highs and just bunched up right there. Now, luckily, this pullback is still really not looking that bad. Almost looks like handle type action. Again, remember, we have a good bit of volatility since this is more equal weight, so you can see some solid changes there as things move. And again, the breadth here on semiconductors is not nearly as good as it was on those first 2, but it is trying to improve some. We take that into consideration on how hard we want to press the gas when we're in areas like this. Same thing with the relative comparatives. They're just not there yet. Neither is the percent making new highs, but note the big cluster on the percent making new lows here without it going too terribly low. So that's because of this cluster up here where it never could break out. So if we could pop back higher, build on this, it'd be nice to see. Now in the semiconductors, we move over to the stock side of it, and we basically does not want to hold my stuff, it seems. Basically take here, sort by what I've already done. There's not that many in this sector, so ACLS looks like a breakout type move after this pullback. Gets over these highs right here. As you can see, there's really just not much up here. You can continue to blow through that quickly. TXN, again, on its pullback, didn't pull that much, right back near these recent highs over there. You know, these failed breakouts here, some we do have to get over, but now that we've pulled back and we're starting to move back into them, it could be worth taking kind of an early shot at it and see if it can bust through. LSCC is back up to the highs, near for a breakout look. SGH, after some really wacko sideways been volatility, it's now back up towards this area. See if it can clear it this time. The weekly looks a little better set up. BRKS is our next one. It again looks kind of like a cup and handle type thing. It tried to break out, failed that breakout for a couple weeks, and now is showing strength again. NVIDIA, same thing, breakout, pulled back, found support at the previous breakout area, and now it wants to climb again. NVMI, somewhat similar but a deeper pullback into the previous breakout, and then Applied Materials has straight up been sideways in this range. It said you can try the bottom of the range versus the lows, or wait till it gets back up above these highs. You try here, you got a nice move, maybe take some off and see if it can get through finally. QRVO, pullback type play. Pull back hard on the daily, but look where the weekly is, right at 40 and right at this nice area of potential support. If it loses it, it's gone for a while, but if it catches itself and reverses here, it could be a nice quick play. And KLIC click, it came down really hard into this previous area. RSI is all the way down to 20, so I think some kind of bounce. Boy, you better see some activity or some participation when it does bounce, because this one could keep going if it doesn't want to hold here. But this looks like a really drastic move. I would expect some potential for retracement. Now our final technology sector is in the hardware area. Hardware and equipment, again, just seems like the laggard and stays that way. However, when we look through it, we can see here it really does still have some gems in it. It's just the overall equal weight sector. Lots of participation and lots of hardware companies that have very low margin, so it's hard for them to move a whole lot unless they play the Apple game, which is super high ones. As you can see here, bear range almost looks like it wants a negative reversal. It's not quite a negative reversal, so we won't call it that. But it is improving the slowest. Its breadth is also pretty sorry comparing to all the others. But, you know, again, there are some gems that can be found in here. Relative comparative's not there. This participation is not here as far as new highs. But looking down through here, you can always find good movers no matter what subsector you're playing in. And if we go here and, again, on the wrong one, and go finally to hardware and equipment to what I marked, you can see there's a decent amount marked. It's just you got to find them. NTAP is a nice looking breakout potential, really nice looking RSI setups. Dell is as well. It already moved out, but it pulled back a little bit. It's ready to go again. LHX moved out, but it looks like it kind of back tested and wants to potentially continue. APH about ready to break out. Flextronics has the chance of breaking out here. Plus, PLUS has a good shot. It's right up near the breakout. It's kind of in a high handle type setup. NSCC right at the breakout. Struggled the last couple of days, but didn't really give much up. LFUS, a little early, kind of the internal type breakout. SCSC is one that's right up near the highs. I haven't been able to get it last week, but we can see, and also you can see on the weekly here, it's kind of an internal breakout in a pretty big level, but the daily's hanging out up here and the weekly's in a bull range as well. So we want to give it the benefit of the doubt. MSI, hard down on Friday, but overall it had moved up. So if it can have a little bit of sideways here and then test that again, got a good shot at it. Internal kind of breakouts. AUDC is right here in the middle. Might want to go back up and challenge the highs from early last year or mid last year. HPE. A little sloppier, but again, it has this little internal breakout here where it's starting with the new RSI bull range. Weekly never lost it. FFIV, Also, never lost its bull range. Weekly starting to turn back up and starting to get a little traction. PSTG up near those highs could be an internal breakout that could lead to another larger one. SAMN, again, internal area right over this 40-30 area. Could be a strong move up towards to test the highs. The kind of catapult type action that shoots you up to the highs. Looks like a little inverse head and shoulders, and then gives you enough energy to potentially break through them after not being able to in the past. Pullback plays, RDWR. Looks like a nice one. RSI held 40. Weekly, nice positive reversal here. Volume footprint in there is pretty solid. TRMB. Also, nice strong pullback on the daily, still in a bear range, but popping higher. Weekly never lost its. Volume footprint is a little bit more messy, but starting to improve back. You can see if it can continue to build. Apple looks like it may want to reverse after moving sideways for a couple weeks. Again, daily's in a bear range. Weekly stayed in the bull range. So see if it can move up into the idea of earnings. Maybe get up towards the higher end, the 150 level-ish. Keys, KEYS, again, pullback play. EMKR is more of a basing, kind of inverse head and shoulders, looking like the weekly. RSI holding. The daily looks like it might want to move back above. KN is a strong looking kind of basing look action. Failed breakdown, wants to move higher in a new RSI bull range. Weekly never lost its. NCR, pullback play. ZBRA, pullback play. Early on that one. ERIC looks like it's been basing a while, wants to move into this gap. FARO is our final one here, and this is basically showing that a basing type action wants to move back into this. Some strong recent price action. Weekly looks like it wants to move off this 40 level. It's got to continue to get the RSI above here. So that's a quick, or not really quick, but as fast as I could, run through the information technology sector. As you can see, it's a pretty large sector, but there are plenty of places that are there, and there's so much as far as the bulk of earnings and things like that, innovation are in that space. It just seems to me if we are going to go into a strong end of the year type move, if IBWM is going to move out of this big sideways range, a lot of these mid to small and even some of the large technology plays could be set up to really move into year end and finish strong after really being sideways a lot of this year, and especially a lot of the last couple of months. So I hope this helps. Hope it gives you a good deep dive into the information technology sector, and we'll be back next week with another one, and hope everybody has a great trading week. Talk to you soon.